Rightio! Back with the tutorial. Now, this is how the game looks like. It's a bit old, you know, you can see that. But it plays incredibly well, like, trust me. So, let's talk about the game controls and what we see here. Let me just do this. I will explain what I just did later on. What do we see here in the UI? First, you have a minimap here in the upper right corner. You have two slots here. This is where any of your hirelings that you happen to have will show up. You can have up to 2. Then you have a sort of like tab which will show you which buffs you have, some of them at least. You then have 4 sort of books. These are actually buttons that you can click on. The first one will show you quest. The other one will go straight to auto notes. The third one will open up the map, and the fourth one is a calendar. Underneath that you have your amount of food, your amount of gold, including the excluding the amount that you have in the bank, but as you can see there is a sort of text box here that then tells you. And underneath those you have 4 buttons. One of them is the cast spell button, a rest button, but I cannot rest in turn-based mode, a quick reference, which is very important for this section here, the reputation, but that comes into play later, and the game options. Now, you can also access all of these using the keyboard. For example, escape is options, M is for the map, C is for the cast spell, what else do we have? R is for rest, but I can't rest in turn-based mode. If I press T, I get the calendar. If I press N, I get the auto notes. Now, you control your characters, and I can sort of turn them around even in turn-based mode, using the arrow keys on my keyboard. However, they are configurable. You can go to controls here, and you can configure them yourself. And if I just turn turn-based mode off, you can see that I can now move forwards and backwards. If I press control, I'm also able to strafe. It doesn't matter left control, right control, as long as you press control. And if I press shift, my characters will run. I don't generally have auto run on because I'm so used to playing the game. Like auto run? Oh, this game doesn't have auto run, but I think the option is there in. I think the option is there in. In the Greyface patch that I am using. Oh, I forgot to mention the Greyface patch actually. So there is a patch available for the game that fixes a few bugs and glitches, and also enables the use of double speed mode, which I will be using to play through the game. It is called the Greyface patch. I will put a link into the description. Basically, how you install it is you just sort of extract it into your install directory. So. What else? What else do we have going for our controls? Yes, well, there is the turn-based mode, which, well, does exactly what it says. It forces all of the, well, it forces the gameplay to go into turn-based mode, which is you move, I move, you move, I move. So your characters will move, then the enemies will move, etc. It is useful in some cases, it is not as useful in some cases. I mostly prefer using it only for weaker enemies because I have my turn-based speed turned up to a factor of 10, which is very fast. What else do we have? Okay, so we have a jump key. The jump key is actually very important. And then we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 on our keyboard, just the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, that allow us to choose all of our different characters. As you can see, the character that is currently active is sort of highlighted, or has his portrait highlighted. And you have this little icon here, meaning that this character is ready to take a move, and it's green because there are no hostile enemies around us. Next to that you have hit points and spell points, and as you can see, Roderick, our paladin, if I right click on him, has 25 hit points and 6 spell points, and compare that to Zoltan, for example, who has only 20 hit points but 28 spell points. Okay, that is it for the UI. What else can I tell you? Pretty much nothing at this point. So let's go For example, let's double click Roderick, and as you can see, that opens up a whole different sort of inventory, where you have stats, skills, inventory, awards, and, you know, the exit button. You can also reach that by highlighting, you know, with the number keys, and then just pressing the same key again. Now here you have the stat screen, skills that we have currently added, the inventory, and the inventory I love because it's a Tetris style inventory. And when you're in these screens, you can also cycle between all the different characters, and on these screens we have the character dolls. They're called that way, I didn't just make that up. On the right side here, and you have your actual inventory here on the left. Now, what can you do here? You can equip items. You do so by clicking on an item that you want to equip, and then clicking on the doll, and you can see Roderick grab the spear, which is what we're going to be using. You can also pick up this Witch Ring of Defense, because it has the enchantment that gives us +4 armor class, which is great to start with. And we're gonna give it to him, and it disappeared. Well, no, it didn't. You can click this detail toggle button here. You can see he equipped it in his ring slot, 1 of 6. Then you have the amulet slot here, and the gauntlet slot here. And this is a book of learning. Now, how do we do it?
Good job.
Well, we just left click on the character and he permanently learns the spell Bless. Here we have a letter, and this is a quest item we are going to be using. And we also have a potion bottle and an herb. Now, how do we do alchemy? Well, if we left click on the potion bottle, we will just exchange the inventory slots or the items. But if we right-click with a poppy snap that we have here over the potion bottle, we will get a yellow potion of energy. We're not going to be using alchemy too much because that is not really a part of my usual gameplay. But there are some interesting things that you can do with alchemy in Might and Magic 6, but it's not as strong in Might and Magic 6 as it is in Might and Magic 7 and 8. You also do not have the alchemy skill. You can make black potions from the get-go, but they aren't as good as the ones in Might and Magic 7 and 8, as I've said. Okay, so let's equip everything onto our characters. Alexis started with the bow skill, so she starts with the bow. She starts with the axe skill, so she starts with an axe. And static charge for the first air spell that we'll be using. She can make a magic potion with the Ferna root, and this ring is unenchanted, and that means it doesn't really do anything. And I'm already doing some inventory management. Serena equipped this, the shield and 2 spells. And Zoltan can then... oh, a defense ring. That's nice. Can learn those 2 spells as well. And this is how I like to organize my inventory. So the first character has weapons, the second character has armor, or items with armor class on them. The third character has miscellaneous items, like articles of clothing, things that you can equip but do not have armor class on them, which means rings and amulets, and also potions and herbs, and wands. And the fourth character is reserved for quest items. So I'm gonna give this letter to Zoltan. You can do that by either picking the item up and then left-clicking the character portrait, or you can pick the item up and then just hitting the appropriate key. In any case, the item will end up in the other dude's inventory, and the inventories, as you can see, are separate, in case you haven't noticed. And then that leaves only one thing for controls that I want to mention, which is the quick attack and quick spell buttons. Now, if I hit the A key, you will see that Roderick here goes into like cooldown because his action is not ready. What he is actually doing is he is hitting the air in front of him. He does not have a bow, hence he doesn't shoot, but if I do the same with Alexis, she does shoot, because she has a crossbow equipped. Now these attacks, if I press A, will automatically home onto the first or the nearest monster or hostile entity that you have in your field of vision. So I will mostly be using this sort of attack. If you want, you can click on, different kind of mobs to attack them. But we are not going to be doing that as much because, well, that takes time. However, if I am in turn-based mode and I want to, approach the fight more tactically than I do usually attack with my mouse button. Now, that is what the A button does. It works for all characters. And then we just have another button, which is the S button. As you can see, if I mash the S key, nothing happens that didn't already happen with the A key. However, the S key is a quick spell. And if I go into my spell book on Serena, she now has, for example, in Body Magic, she has Cure Weakness and First Aid that we have learned by, you know, eating the book, as I always say. And if you click on First Aid twice, you then get a little aiming reticle here, and you can choose a character that you want to heal. Let's just heal Alexis, and it won't have any effect because she has the max amount of health points. But what we can also do is click once, so the text is in red, and click on this button to set First Aid as the ready spell. And now if I press A, nothing still happens. But if I press S with Serena, that means I will automatically cast the spell that is chosen as the quick spell. That can be very useful to make, you know, just encounters quicker. And if I want to, you know, if I want to remove the quick spell that I have equipped, I can just click on this icon here. It's the same place, same situation for basically everything. Now Zoltan can do a similar thing. Let's do Cold Beam, and as you can see, if I press S here, he launches a Cold Beam. Whereas if I press A, he attacks with his dagger because he doesn't have a bow equipped. And that is, I would say, the gist of controls done with. That is the most, like, important, I would say, section with controls. If anything else comes up, I will also mention it. And I did just turn on double speed mode, because I will be playing in double speed mode. As I mentioned earlier, that is a function of Greyface, and I will be using it. Now, I automatically also picked up some magic horseshoes, and I just remembered there is one more very important button that I forgot to mention. So I'm gonna pick up this magic horseshoe, go out of the inventory, and then throw it down. I can either pick up an item by clicking on it, or I can use the interact button, which is spacebar by default, to pick it up, and it goes into the inventory of the character that I have active. And I do believe that is the last thing that I wanted to say. So we are sort of going to start with our game, and I am going to, I would say, play the game the way I would suggest you play it for the first time. So I will not be doing any particular skips. I will try to do as little exploits as possible. But I will also be showing, you know, some, I would say, more quote-unquote powerful mechanics in the game, and also some secrets. First thing you can do is you can approach this bank here, which is this building in Usurpical, and click on the wall here, or spacebar, and you will get this this scroll. This is actually a scroll of fly, and it is already identified, which is good, but we're going to keep that in our inventory for now. What we're going to do is we're going to talk to this guy in this house, Hijal Mosil, the Mystic, and we're going to buy a membership for the Buccaneer's Lair. We're gonna go to the house next and go to Blade's End, or get a membership for Blade's End, because what we want to do is visit the Buccaneer's Lair and also Blade's End, because I will have to see if I need any skills from there. And let me just show you around. Like, this is the pub. You interact with different, if you have like multiple characters in a single building, you interact with each of them by basically using, you know, like either your mouse, like this, or you can just click on them and then go back with the escape key. So taverns have an innkeep where you can rent, with whom you can rent rooms or fill packs. Fill packs basically means, you know, fill packs with food, and I'll explain what food does later when you go into combat. You can also have a drink and then tip the barkeep, and you'll get, you know, some information possibly, but it's more or less just for you know, lore and everything. The reason why we're here is we're going to turn the letter in, or at least show the seal, of this letter to that guy, and that'll net us 1,000 gold. And with that, we can go to the Buccaneer's lair. Well, we can see that it's closed, and it opens at 6 p.m. But I am not going to wait for, you know, the time to basically tick. We're going to rest, and we're going to... This is the rest screen that we couldn't access because we were in turn-based mode earlier. And what you can do here is you can rest and heal, which means you will restore your health and mana to a maximum, or basically to the maximum that is allowed if you have a certain debuff. More into that later. Well, we're going to just wait until dawn, because dawn is 5 a.m. here. And Buccaneer's Lair is going to be opened, and I'm going to just grab a few skills. So we need the Merchant. And I do think this is actually everything for now. I have all the skills that I need from the Buccaneers, but Merchant is a very important skill that just allows you to, you know, manage your money a lot better, not just a bit better. And now this is the coach that allows you to travel between different areas. Now, this isn't the only way that you can travel, but it is going to be the way we travel to the area adjacent, quote-unquote, to New Sorpigal, which is Iron Fist. And welcome to Iron Fist. We're going to quickly buff the characters up a bit. So we have horseshoes here. We're just going to use them. We are going to use them by either clicking and then dragging onto the character and pressing left click, or you can also use items by clicking and then right clicking on a character portrait. So left click gives it, right click uses it on a given portrait. And why we went here is because we have a quest to bring Solmon's letter to Regent Wilbur Humphrey at Castle Iron Fist. This letter. And this is a sort of a starting quest that allows you to get some easy money and easy experience in Mind Magic 6. It's very worth to do. We're gonna talk to Wilbur.
Prince and heir to the throne of Enroth.
Okay. And Wilbur also gave us 2 more quests. One is to find Lord Kilburn's shield. The other one is to rescue a damsel in distress. And the rescue the damsel in distress quest is actually a promotion quest for our paladin.
Hey, looking to train?
Okay, so we're going to train here.
Well done.
You can only train once you have enough experience. When you reach a certain threshold of experience, as you can see here, you can train to another level. And leveling up in a training hall costs money, but in return, it gives you a certain amount of skill points, as you can see here, that you can use to improve your skills. So, the amount of skill points you gain are also dependent on the level that you are. I think that for every 10 levels, you get 1 extra skill point per level up. So from level 1 to 10, you get 1 skill point. From 11 to 20, you get... from 1 to 10, you get 5 skill points. From 11 to 20, you get 6 skill points, etc, etc. So it does get a bit better, a bit easier. And basically how you spend these skill points is you basically just click on things that you want leveled up. Now, leveling things up takes n+1 amount of skill points, n being the level of your skill. So if I want to level up sword from 1 to 2, I need 2 skill points. If I want to level up from 2 to 3, I need 3 skill points. But I'm going to hold off on my skill points for now, because there is a training hall that I want to visit here, and that is the Berserker's Fury. But I need to get this.
Ready to learn something
membership
new.
card first. So they're going to teach me a lot of good skills. I'm going to teach plate
That will
to my
be
paladin
useful.
and bow
That
to
will
my
be
paladin.
useful.
And then I'm going to teach bow
That
to
will
my
be useful.
cleric and bow to
That
my
will be
sorcerer.
useful.
Bow is an incredibly important skill, because bows are the only ways to have a ranged attack if you don't have mana. So knights are dependent on bows to do ranged attacks, and characters that do not have spell points to cast spells depend on bows to do damage. So I would say that bow is an essential skill if you want to play this game, and have any sort of fun time. And then we have money that we can spend on other things. And apparently, Alexis cannot actually use shields, so we are going to buy... I guess we're going to buy the chain skill for her. And chain skill for our cleric, because the clerics can use chain armor. And I'm gonna give repair item to my sorcerer. Like I said, miscellaneous skills can be learned by all different characters. And the reason why I spread them out so is I want everybody to sort of focus on only one miscellaneous skill in the beginning. And this is how our setup is going to be for the beginning. I'm not going to focus too much into magics, or I'm not going to be getting all of the other magic skills right now because they're very pricey. And I have what I need to begin with. I have all of the self-magic covered, and I have air, fire, and water covered. Basically means, party-wide, I'm only missing earth. I don't really care about earth too much, so that's fine. Okay. And one thing that I'm going to show you... Okay, what do we do, actually? I'm kind of bummed that I cannot go with shields for my archer.
Not here. We can't rest here.
Okay. So I wanted to rest, but the enemy was too close. And we can see this is the enemy, the follower of Ba. They're very simple enemies. But let me just explain how combat works. So if I'm going to do this in turn-based mode, but the same basically applies to real-time. I'm gonna move as close as I can, so I can hit them in melee combat. As you can see, Zoltan is up, and if I press A, Zoltan actually missed. And if I press A with Roderick, also missed. Serena, also missed, and Alexis actually hit. Okay. So every time you make an attack, a melee attack has a chance to miss, even though you are actually, you know, hitting the enemy. You can see the sort of modifiers here: attack +0, and the damage that you deal. Shoot -1 basically means, you know, you don't have a bow equipped. You cannot use, you cannot use them. What else? What else? Oh man, is the cutoff value 12 for accuracy? You know, the cutoff value for stats could actually be 12. Maybe 10 and 11 both have a modifier of -1. I might have misspoke earlier, but I don't feel like that makes much of a difference. Okay, so this was melee attacks. Now let's see if I can just have Alexis attack somebody in range combat. So Alexis is not up, so we're just gonna waste the turn with Zoltan and Roderick and Serena. But if I press A now, even if I'm turned away... Oh, I think she shot the tree. Okay, my apologies, Alexis. You had a tree in your way. Even if I'm turned away, you can briefly see, I'm gonna put it to normal speed so you can see better, that the arrow is going to fly towards the follower of Ba. There we go. And real-time combat works much in the same way. I'm just gonna pull a few mobs from there. And if I sort of strafe to dodge the attacks that they're launching towards me, I can just hit A. And everybody's going to either attack air or, you know, shoot with bows. That's much better. And that is basically how combat works. I could also have included the cold beam by mashing S. But I'm hitting trees for some reason. And that is pretty much it. That is how combat works. Well, I would say this is how combat basics work. So I only have Alexis to really, you know, hit with ranged combat when Zoltan loses all of his spell points. That's why I said bows are absolutely necessary. And what I'm gonna do now is, I'm gonna go to the blacksmith, I'm gonna buy stuff. I'm gonna buy 4 different bows? I could go for precision bow though, it's super good. Do I need anything else? No, I don't really. I'm gonna buy the best types that I can. So I'm gonna buy this and this and this. And I'm not gonna buy another longbow because it won't be much of an upgrade to my crossbow. As you can see, if I hover over and right-click and hold, I can see a description, and you can see the accurate crossbow has a shoot modifier of +3 and damage is 42 +3, which is, you know, basically dice rolls. And I'm gonna give the precision bow to Alexis. This accurate crossbow is gonna go to Roderick. She's gonna equip this longbow. And Alexis is going to swap out her crossbow for the precision bow, which is the best one here. Zoltan is going to grab the crossbow, and Roderick is going to have the accurate crossbow. So now everybody has a bow, and everybody has a bow equipped, which means if I mash A now, I have 4 characters shooting arrows, which is super good. Now what am I going to do for skills? I'm going to go for Spirit Magic with you. I'm going to go for Air Magic with you, yes I am. I'm gonna go for Body Magic with you, and I'm gonna go with Water Magic, interesting enough for you. Now, this is where my own version of playing the game comes into play. But I'm going to make a rule right now that I am not going to rush my skills. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to level skills. Like, I will only level skills up above expert when all of the skills that I can put to expert are already on expert mode. So I'm not going to be, for example, rushing to Spirit Magic Mastery, Air Magic Mastery, Body Magic Mastery, and Water Magic Mastery, which in some regards could be you know, the best way to play the game. I want to do things like the way I think would be best for you. So I spent all my skill points. But what I really want to do is I want to go back to Usurpigal,
Hitch up the horses.
which is the starting area. And it is a very good starting area because it sort of has, like, you know, the weakest mobs that you can play around with, sort of. I'm also going to put points into my sword first, yes. And axe for you. And then mace and dagger for you guys, because I want them to be a bit stronger in melee combat. Bows in the beginning are, like, they are accurate enough and reliable enough that I don't need to pump too many points into them in the beginning, so I'm fine with just that. And let's go to the store here, the knife shop, and see if they have any better weapons. So we do have these battle axes, which are better. Yes, they do have a piercing dagger. Excellent. Piercing dagger is the best dagger available to us at this point, and we're also going to buy a battle axe, which is an upgrade to our hand axe. I'm going to give that to Alexis. And we're going to give Serena the items to sell, because she has merchant. And as you can see, the dagger has a value of 8. And the blacksmith is going to give us 2 gold for it. Not the best example, but if we go to the alchemist, for example, here,
I think it's Can I help you find anything?
and if I try to sell this ring without merchant, she will give me 200 gold pieces. But just with basic merchant, she will give me 270 gold pieces for it. The maximum amount that they can give you is the amount that the item has value. So the maximum amount would be 700. And having more skill in merchant approaches that number. So we're going to be as much of the buying and selling with Serena. And since we are already here and we have 2 potions, what you can do with potions is you can mix them. You have 3 primary types of potions: yellow, blue, and I don't have one, but red, surprisingly enough, I know. Each do their own thing, but you can also mix them to achieve different results.
It works.
So for example, if you mix the yellow energy potion with a blue, you know, mana potion, you get a resistance potion which adds 10 resistances temporarily. Now what temporarily means is that the bonus lasts until you rest. Or until you get knocked out, basically. Whereas permanently basically means you always have that, right? And yeah, that's pretty much it. So this pretty much covers 2 very important things. Or we've basically covered 2 very important things. The first was like sort of like the character creation, what skills do, what they allow you to do, which are the good skills, and then we made the sort of prototype party. And in the second thing we did is I explained to you how to sort of, you know, how to control the game, basically, and all of that. And we also started on our adventure. Not very far, but I basically shown you what you can interact with, what you do in certain shops.
Don't touch the merchant.
For example, the armorsmith buys and sells armors, and we don't really have anything useful that we can buy here. I don't want to spend money on gauntlets and things like that. We bought some skills, and we're pretty much set up to start our adventure for real. But yeah, this was pretty much the beginning of a new adventure, guys. I hope you look forward to it. I know I am. Anyway, hope to see you guys later on in the 3rd episode, which is going to be the start of the actual gameplay, the way I do it. And we are going to be dealing with issues in New Sorpital. Until then, bye guys.